What's up, y'all? It's the Governor John McLaughlin coming to do my DMR report January 14th. Representing with the Abakas. We out here teaching black folks how to create generational wealth using the markets through investing and trading. The DMR is a daily market report that analyzes the markets and identifies opportunities to make money every single day. So this is my report for January 14th. It was a yellow day. The futures was just slightly down across the board this morning, so it wasn't looking like a super hot day to begin with. Most of my plays ended up being based off of earnings reports that dropped this morning. Wasn't a super obvious day to me in regards to the plays that I saw, so I took a little bit of a conservative approach today. Again, if you listened to my video yesterday, kind of focused on setting up a little bit more of swing trades with my trading style, and so that was kind of my focus today. I started off with Wells Fargo, who missed on their earnings this morning, and it was a put that went out to February, $50, and it did pretty well. Opened up at 105, went to a high of 170, so that was, I think, 64% or so was the potential return on that play. I actually played this play and got out at about 30%. As you can see, the open was pretty close to the low, so you would have had to be pretty quick to get the minimum price. I got in a little bit above that and got out a little bit below the high. But again, 30%, that's a great percentage for the day, and definitely it's not something I'm going to complain about. And again, like I was saying yesterday, even though the play was set up with some time on it to be able to mature when those profits are on the table, we definitely always emphasize take the profits when they're there. So the profits showed up, and I went ahead and took them, and I'll put them back to use tomorrow. My second call was Delta, who had a nice earnings report this morning. They were really hot in the pre-market. Honestly, I kind of expected them to cool off like they did. They started off fairly strong, but then they kind of teetered the rest of the day around that around that $61.50 to $62 area, and kind of stayed within that range. They didn't really ever bust out. So it did go up, early in the day. Just 10 cents, so you had a chance to make about 6%. But this one I actually held on to, so I do think it will, well, at least I did think, going into the play that, it might not blow up today. I thought the volume, the activity in the pre-market was just a little bit too hot, and that there would be, some selling off throughout the day from the big dogs that got in early. But I figured that, after all, people taking their profits cleared out, that it would probably, continue to have a good rest of the week, and get to that 62.50 number that was my strike price. A little wrinkle was thrown in the evening when the news came out about their plane that was having a technical difficulty or whatever, and ended up dumping, I guess, gasoline on people or something like that. But that news, we'll see how it plays out tomorrow morning. I'm holding the contract for now, and I'm going to try to ride that news out. That's one of the good things about swing trading or holding longer contracts, is you have some time to, overcome bad news, but get more good news in, et cetera, et cetera. So unless it just goes disastrously tomorrow, unless it really blows up in my face, in that case, I'll go ahead and dump it. But I think the earnings were strong, so I think even though they got some negative news in the evening, that this contract will still end up going up, over the next few days, over the next week or two. So I'm holding on to that one, and I'm just going to kind of see how it goes tomorrow with that news and try to ride it out unless it really blows up in my face. Third, I had Visa. Their news came out that they were acquiring Plaid. They also report earnings themselves at the end of January, and they are usually an earnings beast. So I like this contract. I feel like more than likely they're going to beat earnings. But even, if you get out, ride it up to earnings, I feel like this should probably play out pretty well. Didn't really do much today. It went up very briefly, very early in the day. It had a dip. If you caught the dip, actually, if you were patient on your entry and caught it at a low of the day, you probably actually made out nicely today. Because as you see, it got all the way down to 239 and then worked itself back all the way up into the 270s. So you could have made over 10% just off of that if you waited for that dip. This is another one I'm holding, and I expect to see it continue to go up, over the next few days, over the next couple of weeks leading up to its earnings report. At that point, you would have the decision whether you want to, go ahead and dump it before the earnings, which is always a safer bet, or hold it till after the earnings and try to catch a boom. Then lastly was probably the biggest return play of the day, which was actually the shortest contract I picked today. And that was Citigroup. They also reported earnings, and they did very well today. It was kind of the opposite of the Delta, where they had lower volume in the pre-market, even though they beat earnings. The market wasn't there. The volume was not that high comparatively in the morning. So I think that's probably part of the reason why they had a better day than Delta. Delta had a lot of buying in the pre-market, and then people were unloading that, once the market opened. Whereas this one had much lower volume in the pre-market, and so most of the activity happened during normal trading hours. And so I think that benefited Citigroup a lot. This play went up over 100%. The low was at 89 cents. The open was at 89 cents, but that was also the low. So if you weren't the first one in, you weren't going to get that, ultimate low price. I traded this one, and I got 30% on this one as well. So I got in above the 89 cents. And I don't remember the exact number I got in at or the exact number I got out at, but I know I made 30%. And, it had a potential of 152 if you happen to be able to get in at that 89. But it had up to 152% potential. So obviously that was a great play that you could have made a nice return on. And this one was the only contract that I didn't pick that went out until February. So just a week-long contract. So definitely it was a case of you probably want to take those profits as soon as you see them. So anyway, I'm going to keep it short and simple tonight. That's my DMR for January 14th. If you want more information on the DMR, on the Abacas, on the markets, definitely get with me, and I would love to help you get started on your journey to generational wealth. All right, y'all, bless up.